Days of Our Lives has over its nearly 60 years on the air. Yet the drama now unfolding around little Tesoro promises to be one for the scrapbook. In the weeks ahead, we are poised to witness heartbreak, hope, and a pitched courtroom struggle that could leave every character forever changed. A new chapter for Leo and Javi. When we first met Leo Stark, Greg Ricart, few viewers imagined him one day cradling a baby in his arms and whispering lullabies. Leo's early schemes were anything but paternal, and Salem's residents still recall his long list of half-baked cons. Then, as if by miracle, into Leo's life stepped Javi Hernandez Alcalderon, solid, patient, and utterly devoted. Together the two men began to dream of something more than late-night parties and quick paydays. That something arrived in the most unexpected way. A safe haven box at the local fire station delivered a healthy newborn into their care. Leo, who once distrusted love itself, found his heart swelling as he held the tiny bundle. Javi, who had always wanted children, was equally smitten. They nicknamed the baby Tesoro, the Spanish word for treasure, because that is exactly what he felt like, a priceless gift plucked from the ashes of their complicated pasts. From foster fathers to would-be parents under Salem's child welfare guidelines, Leo and Javi were first approved as foster guardians. That status can last weeks or months, while social workers investigate backgrounds and confirm a stable household. Javi, a respected art conservator with no criminal record, cleared every hurdle with ease. Leo, however, faced pointed questions about his brushes with the law. To his credit, Leo did not hide. He sat in that fluorescent-lit office and laid bare every misstep, from petty scams to larger deceptions. He spoke honestly about the therapy he now attends and the steady job he holds. Social workers took notes, judges weighed transcripts. Gradually, a consensus formed. Whatever sins Leo once committed, he is today a changed man, anchored by genuine love for Javi and unwavering devotion to Tesoro. So the couple dared to hope. They bought a bassinet shaped like a tiny sailboat, painted the nursery a soothing seafoam green, and filled it with plush sea creatures. Javi proposed marriage beneath Salem's historic oak, believing a legal union would demonstrate lasting stability. Leo accepted with tears in his eyes. They stood before family and friends, slipped rings onto trembling fingers, and vowed to build a life where honesty triumphed over old habits. By every appearance, the adoption was only a few signatures away. The secret that could shatter everything, yet soap opera bliss is seldom allowed to bloom without a storm on the horizon. Behind Tesoro's angelic smile lies a secret known only to his birth mother, Sophia Choi, Rachel Boyd. Racked with postpartum fear, Sophia surrendered her son on the very night he was born. In leaving him, she intended to shield herself and a certain young man from heartache. That young man is Tate Black, Leo Howard, son of Salem power couple Brady Black and Teresa Donovan. Sophia feared that if Tate ever saw their child, he would insist on raising him, appending her fragile plans for college, career, and life outside the diaper aisle. To divert suspicion, she spun a tale that their baby was a girl whom she had already entrusted to a nameless adoptive couple. Tate, relieved that the child would be cared for, walked away heavy-hearted, never realizing he had been told only half the truth. But secrets, like seedlings, grow in the dark. Already Salem's gossip mill is churning. A nurse remembers Sophia's anxious glance toward the safe haven box. A firefighter recalls the midnight drop-off. One overheard conversation, one misdirected text, and everything could unravel. The moment Tate learns that Tesoro is in fact his son, he will almost certainly move heaven and earth to claim him. Leo's worst nightmare and his fiercest resolve. Imagine the scene. Leo and Javi brace themselves in the family court corridor, clutching a folder of glowing home study evaluations when the doors swing open to reveal Tate and his attorney. Papers are served, proceedings postponed. Hope flickers like a candle in a draft. For Leo, the thought of surrendering Tesoro is unbearable, especially after a lifetime spent chasing fleeting affections and finding, at last, a love too pure to lose. Yet Leo is no longer the slippery schemer of years past. He is a father now, or as close as the law will let him be, and fathers do not flee when the ground trembles. He will fight, but he will fight the right way. Legal counsel is retained. Character witnesses line up. Marlena Evans recalling Leo's dedicated therapy, Chanel Dupree describing his volunteer hours at the community kitchen, Abe Carver noting the child's thriving development in the Stark Hernandez home. Every affidavit becomes a brick in the wall Leo builds to protect his son. Tate's awakening and the clash of two fathers. Tate, meanwhile, stands at an agonizing crossroads. On one side lies the promise of fatherhood, the chance to hold his own flesh and blood and guide that young life. On the other lies the painful truth that Tesoro already knows other arms, other lullabies. Tate is by nature decent, but he is also stubborn, a trait inherited in equal measure from Brady's steel and Teresa's fire. He will not back away easily, especially once his parents rally to his cause. Brady hires a seasoned custody litigator. Teresa, no stranger to courtroom drama herself, vows to see justice done for her grandson. Why, they argue, should Leo's checkered past overshadow Tate's clean slate? Why should a birth father be denied the right to raise his own son? A courtroom collision of hearts and law. If you are picturing stark wooden benches and tear-filled testimonies, you are not alone. Insiders whisper that Day's writers have outlined a legal showdown reminiscent of the classic 1995 storyline in which baby Claire was contested. Only deeper, more ethically tangled, and anchored by today's broader understanding of non-traditional families. Expect the judge to wrestle publicly with issues many grandparents watching at home have wondered about. Does biology outweigh the day-to-day bond forged by caregivers? How much weight should be given to a person's past mistakes when every sign shows they have reformed? And most poignant of all, can any decision truly spare a child pain when love on both sides is genuine? What lies ahead? Spoiler buzz hints that no matter the verdict, nobody will leave the courthouse untouched. A victory for Tate could fracture Leo and Javi's marriage or strengthen it if they choose to remain foster parents for other children in need. A win for Leo might spark an appeal that drags on for months, testing every ounce of goodwill between the Stark-Hernandez household and the Blacks. One thing, however, is certain: Leo Stark will not give up. With every setback he has ever faced, he has learned resilience. This time, that resilience is tempered by fatherhood, a force as primal as it is tender. He will rise each morning ready to prove, in deeds not words, that Tesoro's best interests are served right where he is. Tate, equally determined, will grow from impulsive youth into a man formed by responsibility. Whether he ultimately gains custody or chooses to share parenting in some groundbreaking arrangement, the experience will shape him forever. Next, family feud at Titan. Xander and Philip's explosive clash threatens the company. Tensions are soaring at Titan Industries as two of Salem's most infamous brothers, Xander Cook and Philip Kyriakis, find themselves locked in a bitter power struggle. What started as a simple disagreement has erupted into a full-blown personal and professional crisis. One that now threatens to unravel the fragile piece holding the company and possibly the entire Kyriakis family legacy together. This week, viewers were treated to an explosive confrontation that revealed just how deep the resentments run between these two men. With the fate of Titan hanging in the balance, can Xander and Philip put aside decades of rivalry? Or will their stubborn pride drag everyone down with them? Xander's patience snaps the moment he walks in. It all begins when Xander walks into his office, visibly exhausted, his face worn from sleepless nights and a mountain of stress. But rather than the quiet moment of peace he desperately needs, he's greeted by the one person guaranteed to provoke him, Philip, already seated comfortably, grinning like the cat that swallowed the canary. Without missing a beat, Xander growls, "What the hell are you doing in my office?" The terms of their so-called ceasefire were clear. Philip was supposed to stay away, physically and professionally. But Philip, ever the smooth talker, casually brushes off the confrontation. "We need to at least pretend to get along," he says. "If we want to save Titan, we're going to have to look like a united front." Xander isn't convinced. The last thing he wants is a photo op with a man he once considered throwing off a balcony. An anger management bombshell then, in a moment that could only be described as insult wrapped in corporate spin, Philip hands Xander a folder. Inside? Enrollment papers for an anger management course, courtesy of Human Resources. The room falls silent for a moment before Xander explodes, literally pulling Philip out of his chair in a burst of fury. "You think I need anger management?" he snarls, eyes blazing. Philip doesn't back down. With practiced calm, he looks him square in the eye and says, "Yes, I do." The confrontation is so intense, so personal, that even long-time viewers may have flinched. For a moment, it seemed like the brothers might come to blows again, but somehow they both sit down and regain some semblance of control. Just in time for Johnny DiMera to walk in. The PR disaster they're trying to avoid. Johnny, freshly roped into this unfolding mess, isn't here for a social call. Philip brought him in to film a corporate video, a joint statement to put to rest the rumors that Xander had attacked him the week prior. The accusation has sent the company's board and shareholders into a quiet panic, and Philip insists that the video is the only way to contain the damage. "We need to show we're on the same side," Philip says, clapping Xander on the back in a gesture that's about as genuine as a snake oil salesman's smile. Xander hates the idea. Every fiber of his being rebels against it. But the pressure is mounting, and the company's survival may depend on it. Reluctantly, he agrees. Johnny, trying to lighten the mood, jokes, "Let's try not to kill each other before the cameras start rolling." He gets a dry laugh, barely. An offer of tea and a dagger in disguise once Johnny leaves. The room grows quiet again. In an unexpected gesture of goodwill, or maybe just strategy, Philip offers to make Xander a cup of tea. But make no mistake, this isn't brotherly bonding. The moment the tea is poured, Philip casually asks, "So, what kind of trouble did you get into last night?" Xander, no stranger to manipulation, doesn't take the bait. "Don't get involved," he mutters. But Philip presses on. "We both know if you're caught up in anything shady, it reflects on all of us." Xander brushes him off, determined to focus on filming the video, reviewing the footage, and doing what needs to be done to keep Titan afloat. Still, the tension between them is thicker than ever. He can barely stand being in the same room with Philip, let alone pretending they're some kind of dream team. That's when Philip delivers the final jab, softly, almost like a whisper. "You know," he says, sipping his own tea, "you could always quit. Two titans, one implosion." Philip may have meant it as a dare, or perhaps even a challenge. But for Xander, it hits a nerve. He's worked too hard and sacrificed too much to let someone like Philip push him out. But here's the hard truth. Their feud is now public, and the board is watching. Every glare, every raised voice, every whispered threat. It's all being observed and calculated. Neither man can afford to lose this battle, but continuing to fight could cost them both everything. Why this storyline resonates for longtime fans. This storyline isn't just office drama. It's the latest chapter in a generational war within the Kiriakis family. From Victor to Brady to now Philip and Xander, power has always come with a price. But unlike the backroom deals and mafia threats of the past, this time the battle is emotional, personal, and painfully human.